Imagine waking up and your money is already handled, bills paid, savings growing, investments running quietly in the background. And you still spend, without guilt, on the things you actually love. That's not a dream. It's a system. Today we're talking about I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. This is not a stop buying coffee book. It's not a book that turns your life into a spreadsheet prison. It's a book about building a money setup that works automatically, so you don't have to think about money every day. Ramit's core belief is simple. Most people lose money because they focus on tiny decisions and ignore the big moves that change everything. So instead of obsessing over small spending, he wants you to win the big fights: your bank accounts, your credit, your debt, your investing, your income, and the automatic system that ties it all together. If you build it once, properly, you stop needing motivation. You stop needing willpower. You stop trying to be good with money. You just become good with money. Now, before we get tactical, I want you to do something. Picture your rich life, not someone else's version. Not flashy cars or luxury for the internet, your version. Maybe it's freedom, maybe it's peace, maybe it's options, maybe it's time with family, maybe it's traveling without panic, maybe it's quitting a job you hate, maybe it's helping your parents, maybe it's building a business. Your rich life is what makes the system worth building. Because personal finance without purpose becomes punishment. And Ramit's approach is designed to do the opposite. It's designed to give you permission to enjoy life because your essentials are handled and your future is protected. All right, let's start with why smart people still feel broke. A lot of people with decent incomes still feel like they're drowning. They're not lazy. They're not stupid. They're not irresponsible in every area of life. They're just stuck in a loop. Money comes in, money goes out, and whatever's left at the end is whatever's left. Some months it's fine. Other months, one unexpected expense shows up, and it feels like the floor collapses. And here's what happens next. They avoid looking at their accounts. They delay investing because it feels complicated. They carry credit card balances just for now. They tell themselves they'll get serious later. But later has a way of turning into never. Ramit says the real enemy isn't math. It's psychology. Money is emotional. Money is identity. Money is fear. Money is guilt. Money is family messages like, "We're not good with money." Rich people are greedy. Investing is gambling. Talking about money is rude. Debt is normal. Everyone has a car payment. Just put it on the card. Those beliefs become invisible scripts that run your life. And if you don't challenge them, you'll keep repeating the same pattern, even as your income grows. So the goal isn't to become a monk. The goal isn't to never spend. The goal is to build a system that makes good decisions automatic and makes bad decisions harder to repeat. That's how you get control. Now, Ramit uses a phrase that changes everything. Spend extravagantly on the things you love and cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't. That's not reckless spending. That's conscious spending. It means you stop trying to be cheap and you start being intentional, because being cheap is exhausting. You end up saying no to everything and feeling deprived. And then one day you snap and buy something impulsive and feel guilty again. Conscious spending is different. It says, I can spend on this because I chose it. I cut other things because I don't care about them. My money reflects my values. Now we need to talk about the place where most people waste energy. Small cuts. You've heard the advice. Stop buying lattes, bring lunch every day, cancel everything fun, never take an Uber, never travel, never enjoy your life. Will that save some money? Sure. But Ramit argues it's not where the real change lives. Real change comes from big wins, and big wins look like this: getting rid of unnecessary fees, choosing the right bank accounts, using credit correctly, paying down high-interest debt, investing in low-cost funds, automating your savings and investing, negotiating your salary, lowering your biggest monthly fixed costs. A $5 cut here and there is fine, but a $5,000 raise changes your trajectory. A lower interest rate changes your trajectory. A system that invests every month changes your trajectory. So this book is basically a blueprint for building a money machine. Not a machine that makes you rich overnight, a machine that makes you steadily richer, year after year, without constant effort. Let's build the foundation. Start with your accounts. Most people treat their bank account like a bucket. Money goes in, money leaks out, and they hope there's enough left. Ramit wants pipelines. Money flows into the right places automatically. So the question changes from, did I save this month? To, of course I saved. It happened automatically. At a basic level, the system uses a few simple containers: a checking account for bills and everyday spending, a savings account for emergencies and short-term goals, and investment accounts for long-term wealth building. Simple doesn't mean weak. Simple means reliable. The key is what connects them. Automation. Because automation doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you had a stressful week. It doesn't care if you forgot. It runs anyway. And that's the point. Now, Ramit is also blunt about fees. Fees are silent killers. Monthly maintenance fees, overdraft fees, TM fees, hidden account requirements, investment fees. A lot of people think personal finance is hard, but honestly, many times it's just expensive because it's messy. So the first cleanup is simple. Stop paying unnecessary fees. That might mean switching to a better checking account, using a savings account with better interest and fewer restrictions, choosing investment funds with low costs. You don't need to optimize every detail. You just need to stop the bleeding. Now let's move to a topic that makes people emotional: credit cards. Some people love them, some people fear them. Ramit's view is practical. Credit is a tool. In the U.S., your credit score affects things you might not expect: renting an apartment, interest rates on loans, sometimes insurance pricing, sometimes job screenings in certain roles, and of course, mortgages. So having good credit can literally make life cheaper. But credit becomes dangerous when you treat it like extra income. So the rule is straightforward. If you can't pay it off in full, don't buy it. That's it. Credit cards are not emergency funds. They are not free money. They are not a lifestyle booster. They're a tool for convenience, protection, and rewards when used responsibly. Now, Ramit pushes people to understand what actually influences a credit score. Pay on time. Keep credit utilization low. Don't open too many new accounts at once. Maintain longer credit history when possible. And there's one more move he loves: negotiation. Most people never negotiate with financial companies. They assume the rules are fixed. They assume fees are final. They assume interest rates are fate. But a lot of the time, you can call and ask. You can ask for a lower APR. You can ask for a fee to be waived. You can ask for a better product. You can ask for retention offers. Will it always work? No. But the person who wins is the person who asks. That's a repeating theme here. Winning with money isn't about being perfect. It's about being proactive. Now we have to address the heavy one: debt. Debt is not just a number. Debt is stress. It's the thing that takes your future and sells it back to you at interest. Ramit's approach is practical and non-shaming. He doesn't spend time yelling at you for past mistakes. He cares about the plan that gets you out. The first step is clarity. List every debt, balance, interest rate, minimum payment. Most people avoid this list because it feels painful. But the pain already exists. Avoiding it just makes it vague, and that's worse. Once you have the list, focus on the most expensive debt first. High-interest credit card debt is a financial emergency. If your interest is 18%, 22%, 29%, you are running on a treadmill that speeds up every month. So the math smart method is pay minimums on everything. Then put extra money toward the highest interest rate debt until it's gone. Then move to the next. That method saves the most money. Now, psychologically, some people stay motivated better by quick wins. So another approach is pay off the smallest balance first to create momentum. Then roll that payment into the next debt. The specific method matters less than consistency. Pick one and commit. And again, don't forget negotiation. You can call and ask for a lower rate. You can ask for hardship options if you're struggling. You can ask what programs exist. Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is surprisingly helpful. But if you never ask, the answer is always no. Now, while you're paying down debt, you also build protection. Because life happens. And when life happens without savings, people go right back into debt. So the system includes savings. Emergency savings is not glamorous, but it changes your nervous system. It turns emergencies into inconveniences. It gives you breathing room. It gives you the ability to say, I can handle this. Now let's talk about the engine of wealth, investing. This is where most people freeze. They think investing requires a lot of money, a finance degree, perfect timing, and nerves of steel. Ramit says, no, you need a simple strategy, low costs, and automation, and you need time. Time is the superpower. Because of compounding. Compounding is what happens when your money earns returns, and then those returns earn returns, and the whole thing snowballs. It's slow at first. Then it gets ridiculous. That's why starting early matters, not because you're behind, but because time is the multiplier you can't replace. Now, Ramit strongly prefers low-cost, diversified investing, index funds, target date funds, broad market funds. Why? Because most people don't need complicated investing. They need consistent investing. Trying to pick individual stocks is like trying to win a game most professionals struggle to beat. Instead, Ramit wants you to own a broad slice of the economy and let growth do its work over decades. And here's a key point. Fees matter. A 1% annual fee doesn't sound like much, but over decades, it can cost you a massive chunk of your future wealth. So low-cost funds are not a detail. They are the difference between investing and funding someone else's yacht. Now, in the U.S., many people invest through retirement accounts. If your employer offers a retirement plan with a match, that match is essentially free money. Ignoring it is like turning down a raise. So a common priority sequence looks like this. Get the employer match if it exists. Pay down high-interest debt. Build emergency savings. Increase investing consistently. The exact order can vary by situation, but the principle stays the same. Start. Keep it simple. Make it automatic. Now, investing is only one side of the equation. The other side is income. Because you can only cut expenses so far. At some point, the most powerful move is earning more. A lot of money advice is defensive. Save more. Spend less. Cut back. Ramit wants you to play offense. Negotiate your salary. Improve skills. Change jobs strategically when it makes sense. Create additional income streams if you want. Because one raise can change your entire future. If you get a $5,000 raise, that's not just $5,000 once. It's $5,000 every year. It can increase future raises. It can increase retirement contributions. It can increase the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And that gap is what builds wealth. Now, here's the trap. When people earn more, they often increase their lifestyle automatically. A nicer apartment, a nicer car, more subscriptions, more delivery, more little upgrades. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it can keep you broke at any income level. The solution isn't to never upgrade your life. The solution is to upgrade intentionally. Increase investing and savings as your income grows. Keep fixed costs from quietly eating everything, and spend guilt-free on what you love, because you planned it. That's conscious spending. Now let's talk about fixed costs, because this is where most people can unlock huge progress. Fixed costs are the big monthly expenses that keep your life running. Housing, transportation, insurance, utilities, groceries, minimum debt payments. Ramit often encourages people to keep fixed costs around a manageable percentage of income. Not because it's a moral rule, because high fixed costs remove flexibility. When your fixed costs are too high, every unexpected expense feels like disaster. Saving feels impossible. Investing feels impossible. And stress becomes your baseline. So one of the best big wins is lowering a major fixed cost. Not every cost, not everything at once, just one big move that creates breathing room. That might mean choosing a less expensive housing option when possible, renegotiating insurance, rethinking an expensive car situation, cutting a recurring expense you don't care about, or reducing fees and high interest payments. Breathing room is powerful because once you have breathing room, the system starts working. Now let's put the whole system into one framework that's easy to follow. Ramit uses a spending plan that feels like a budget, but doesn't punish you like a budget. It divides your money into 4 categories: fixed costs, investing, savings, guilt-free spending. This approach is strong because it's realistic. It doesn't pretend you'll never have fun. It doesn't pretend you'll be perfect. It builds fun into the plan. Because when fun is built in, you stop rebelling against your own money rules. Now imagine your paycheck hits. Immediately, your system moves money automatically. Bills get paid. Savings transfers happen. Investing contributions happen. What's left in checking is your spending money. So you don't have to micromanage every purchase. You can buy dinner, you can buy a gift, you can enjoy your life because your future is already funded. That feeling, when your finances stop requiring daily attention, is what Ramit is aiming for. Now let's bring this to life with a simple story. Imagine someone named Maya. Maya is smart and works hard. She makes decent money, but she constantly feels broke. She avoids looking at her account. She has a few credit card balances. She's always surprised by expenses. She thinks the problem is discipline. But the real problem is, there's no system. So she starts small. She checks her accounts and stops unnecessary fees. She opens a separate savings account. She sets up an automatic transfer every payday. Not huge, just consistent. Then she sets up retirement contributions to capture an employer match. She picks a simple, low-cost fund. She makes it automatic. Then she looks at her fixed costs, and she realizes something uncomfortable. Her rent and car payment are squeezing her, so she makes one big move. She lowers a major monthly cost as best she can. Suddenly, she has breathing room. With breathing room, she pays down debt faster. She saves more. She invests more. And after a few months, she feels something she hasn't felt in a long time. Not because she's rich overnight, but because her money is no longer a mystery. That's what systems do. They reduce chaos. Now, let's turn this into a practical step-by-step plan you can follow. Think of this as a short reset. Not a punishment, not a crash diet, a setup. First, get clarity. Know your accounts, know your debts, and know your fixed costs. Write down what you owe. Write down the interest rates. Write down minimum payments. Then, clean up your banking. Choose accounts with low fees and good reliability. Then, automate. Automate bills, at least minimum payments. Automate savings transfers. Automate investing contributions. Start small if you need to. Consistency beats intensity. Next, create your spending plan. Separate money for essentials, separate money for saving, separate money for investing, and include guilt-free spending. Then, attack high-interest debt while building emergency savings. And finally, start playing offense with income. Negotiate, build skills, seek better opportunities, be intentional. Now, Ramit also highlights something that quietly ruins people. Avoidance. People avoid money conversations. They avoid checking accounts. They avoid facing debt. They avoid learning investing basics. Avoidance feels like relief in the moment, but it creates long-term fear. The cure isn't becoming a finance expert. The cure is a weekly habit. One money check-in each week. 10 minutes. Check balances. Confirm bills are paid. Confirm transfers happened. Make one small improvement. That's it. Money doesn't need to be your daily obsession. It just needs a system and occasional maintenance. Now let's talk about relationships, because money isn't just personal. It's social. If you share life with someone, partner, spouse, family, money becomes a team sport. Ramit often emphasizes honesty and clarity, not perfection, just transparency. Talk about goals, talk about debts, talk about priorities, talk about what rich means to each of you. Because if you don't talk about money, money becomes a silent problem, and silent problems grow. Now, let's return to the deeper layer. The invisible beliefs about money. Money scripts. A money script is a belief you absorbed, often without realizing it. Money is always stressful. If I get rich, people will judge me. I don't deserve wealth. I'm bad with numbers. Investing is risky. We're just not the kind of people who save. These are not facts, they're stories, and they shape behavior. If your script says money is stressful, you avoid looking. If your script says investing is gambling, you delay starting. If your script says I'm bad with money, you stop trying. Ramit's approach is to replace identity with process. Instead of I'm bad with money, it becomes I'm building a system. Instead of I'll start later, it becomes I automate first, then enjoy. Instead of investing is scary, it becomes I choose simple low-cost funds and let time do the work. That shift is powerful because it removes shame. Shame keeps you stuck. Systems move you forward. Now let's simplify the entire message into a handful of principles you can remember. Stop focusing on tiny cuts. Focus on big wins. Build an automatic system so good decisions happen without daily effort. Spend on what you love. Cut what you don't. Invest consistently in low-cost diversified options. Increase income intentionally. Negotiate. Improve skills. Play offense. And keep asking the big question. What is your rich life? Because money is just the tool. The purpose is freedom. Now, I want to make this extremely practical with a mini workshop you can imagine doing right now. Picture two versions of yourself 1 year from now. The first version continues doing what most people do. Money is still a mystery. Saving happens only if there's leftover. Investing is still something to learn later. Unexpected expenses still feel like panic, not because that person is lazy, because that person is living without a system. Now, picture the second version. Same personality, same life, same job. But this version has automation. Bills paid automatically. Savings transferred automatically. Investments contributed automatically. This version still has problems because life is life. But money is no longer the constant background fear. This version has options. That's what you're building. Not perfection. Options. Now here's a simple blueprint. Pick 1 day each week as your money check-in. 10 minutes. Open your accounts. Confirm everything is running. Make one small improvement. Next, remove one fee this week. 1. A monthly bank fee. A forgotten subscription. An expensive account you don't need. That's a win. Then automate one transfer, even if it's small. $20, $50, $100. You're not proving you're rich. You're proving you're consistent. Then choose one big win for the next 90 days. 1. Lower a major monthly fixed cost. Pay off a high-interest balance. Start retirement contributions. Increase investing. Negotiate a raise. One big win. Put it on your calendar and take the first step. Because the secret isn't knowledge, it's action. Now, I want to bring it back to the heart of the book. Your rich life. Say it in one sentence. My rich life is... Finish it honestly. My rich life is having my bills and investing handled automatically, so I can travel twice a year without guilt. My rich life is having the freedom to walk away from work that drains me. My rich life is supporting my family while still feeling safe. Once you define it, every financial decision becomes easier, because now your money has a job. Now, let's address one more myth. People think being good with money means constant restriction. But in Ramit's world, being good with money means designing your life. It means using systems so you don't have to fight yourself every day. And when the system is running, you can spend on the things you love without guilt because your future is already funded. That's what most people want. Not just more money, less stress, more freedom, more control. So here's what I want you to do. If you take one idea from this book, take this. Automate the right decisions, because motivation fades, but automation stays. And now I'll ask you one question. If your money was fully under control, what would your rich life look like? Would you travel more? Would you move somewhere new? Would you help your parents? Would you start a business? Would you take time off without fear? Would you stop living with that constant pressure in your chest? Drop your answer in the comments. What does rich mean to you? And if this summary helped you, support the channel. Like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a fresh start. Because you don't need more motivation. You need a system. And once you build it, your life gets lighter, one automatic transfer at a time.